Hello and welcome to Ascension Arcana Tarot. This is Christine with a weekly romance reading. As always, this is a general collective reading, so please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. Let's see what the universe wants us to know here for this collective for this week. God, what do the folks in this collective need to know for their romance journey this week? That was a couple. That guy too. I got squabbling. Okay, so this does not feel particularly romantic so far. The Five of Wands to me, I just heard that this is like a squabbling energy, and the Queen of Pentacles is like the mother. So I'm wondering if this will resonate maybe for folks who are in a relationship and have kids. There sort of is like a squabbling energy going on here that feels very childish to me. So I guess that could resonate in lots of different ways, right? It could be actual children, right? And a mother. It could be kind of that ego squabbling energy within yourself. Or it could be that if you're in a partnership, maybe you and your partner are experiencing some sort of squabbling or fighting energy going on between the two of you. The moon. I'm feeling like even if it seems, so I'm using the word squabbling because it feels petty. And not, I don't mean to say like petty in a way that you're trying to hurt each other or someone's trying to be vicious or something like that. I don't feel like a cruelty to it, but it feels kind of like a petty, like a power struggle-ish energy. What the moon is saying to me is that even if it feels kind of petty, the roots of whatever the upset is are actually pretty deep. It's funny. The Hangman was on the bottom when I picked this up, and after all that shuffling, it's back on the bottom again. I didn't feel called to point out before, but since it's peeking its face out the second time. Interesting. So the Eight of Wands to the Four of Wands to me is showing like a quick movement or a quick resolution coming about here that brings like a really happy, joyful ending. So the Four of Wands is like joyful surprises, happy endings. It's like dreams come true, wishes come true. It's your manifestation, kind of celebrating that your manifestation has come in. It's also considered the twin flame card with the post here making like an 11-11. The King of Wands feels to me like passion coming back. So like this is like kind of a funny energy. I really am feeling this most strongly around like a mother and actual children. And it's making me wonder, like, if this is a collective where it's like a stay-at-home mom, or, you know, it could be a stay-at-home dad, that gender is irrelevant, but a stay-at-home parent who's sort of like dealing with the children all day and the squabbling and like this fighting and just how draining that is, and how, I don't know, I almost feel like if you're in this collective, like I said, there's like a deeper emotional wound that's kind of going on, that's manifesting as this squabbling, or that's sort of playing out as this. But it may be the case that, like, let's say when your partner comes home from work, like you're just so exhausted from dealing with this squabbling energy all day, that it's like you don't even have time for like romance or passion or even like to connect with each other, right? It feels very draining. So I'm really feeling called to say this. Like, I feel like we are going to clarify. We'll use this deck to clarify a little bit more on what this is. And I don't know what I'll be able to get, because obviously this is a reading for like that multiple people are listening to. But I feel like if you can get some resolution on this, this is what's going to come through, is this kind of quick resolution, quick communication to getting you to like this really joyful place of union. Almost kind of like, it almost is giving me like a world card vibe, where it's like your relationship has sort of made it through this challenge, right? This challenging energy. And you guys have sort of like leveled up as a couple as a result of going through this together. I'm really just feeling this King of Wands as like this passion kind of coming back into the relationship. So instead of feeling like that kind of harassed, like drained parent dealing with the kids all day, you kind of feel like spunky and like passionate and ready to like light up. I keep hearing the word ignite. So ready to kind of like spark up. I'm drawn to him, even his posture. He looks to me like he's kind of about to like spring off of his throne. And I'm feeling that this sense of movement on this bottom row of both of these cards wanting to move towards this like beautiful, magnetic, joyful energy of this Four of Wands card. I'm super drawn to the blue in almost all of the cards, which is speaking of like the throat chakra, of communication, and then specifically this Eight of Wands especially, right? Talking about communication. Let me just feel this for a second. The moon. Yeah, I feel like, all right, God, give us some guidance here around this moon card. Like, what specifically is this upset that this collective can dive in to heal? Do you have any further guidance for us here? Further guidance on this moon card. The Page of Cups. Yeah, it's childhood. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I feel like whatever this energy is, yeah, I just got the Devil too. Whatever this energy is for you, if you're in this collective, this might be really specific. This might be like for one person who I'm reading for, but I'm going to give this message and I'm going to help that one person. So, if you're in this collective, right, and if this resonates, if not, as always, take it if it resonates. If not, just leave it behind. It's not a big deal. But if you're in this collective, it's making me think of the spiritual work that I do. And a lot of kind of the projections or the manifestations that we almost like subconsciously or inadvertently create in our lives, like these patterns that play out, stem from a lot of like childhood wounding, right? So especially if you've had a childhood where you had neglect or abuse, it might not even be that significant, right? It might be a time that like you felt like a teacher was putting you down or that a parent just wasn't available. And, even though you can be reasonable about it and say like, oh, that person's only human, there might be a part of your inner child that's sort of hanging on to a feeling of being abandoned, being betrayed, a place where you weren't taken care of the way that you had wanted to be taken care of, right? So I feel like there's something to that for this collective. That moon card really feels like that to me, that this squabbling, this fighting energy feels very petty on like a surface level, but there's something very deep going on underneath it that is the reason why this energy is like manifesting in your current reality. And when I'm drawing clarity here for the moon card, I got the Page of Cups and the Devil. So this is confirming for me that it's around something like a wounding that you have from childhood. And like, that's very normal. Like all of us have childhood wounding. Our parents are human beings, right? Teachers are human beings, coaches and, people who we interact with, extended family members, like everybody's just a human being and they have their stuff that they're working through. So it's okay to, love your parents and be able to see like, hey, in this situation, I was hurt by how they handled it, right? It's okay to see that. It's okay to see both sides and kind of recognize kind of the dark and the light there, right? The good and the places where your parents maybe could have used some improvement, right? And that's okay. But the Devil here is just that complete control energy. It's like really all that I'm getting from him is like this restraint against your will, kind of being controlled. So this is such an interesting energy. I'm trying to just feel it for a minute and feel It's almost like an oppression energy. It's bringing to mind a conversation that I was having with a friend earlier. Like sometimes as children, we're sort of expected to fit the mold of maybe what our parents want us to be like, right? What the people around us want us to be like, or want us to act like or look like. And how oppressive that is, right? Against our free-spirited, whimsical, divine, quirky, like perfect, wonderful little selves. So I'm feeling that. Like this Page of Cups, he's very whimsical and he's very quirky. You know, he's got this cool little tunic on and his funny little hat, and he's having this conversation with this fish, right? He's like a creative, intuitive, like super out of the box little guy in this card. And I feel like the devil would be that energy of trying to like box him up or make him like fit a mold, make him fit maybe the expectations of like parents or coaches. Maybe that's the word I'm having a hard time finding, is like pressure. It's like the pressure of being like forced into a mold. I'm hearing that expression too, like a square peg in a round hole, right? Like it just doesn't quite fit, right? And sort of the pain of that as a child, trying to conform, trying to become something that you're not, right? Just to kind of please the others around you. So I don't know if that will resonate, but I get that message very clearly from this Page of Cups and the Devil. There's like some space, some childhood wounding around your quirky, beautiful, wonderful self, and kind of having that like suppressed or contained or controlled in some way. And that being like a really deep wound that is somehow manifesting now as this sort of like squabbling, harassing, like draining energy. I feel like if you can get clear for yourself on where that is, and even communicate with that part of yourself. So I sometimes like to do this. I have pictures of myself from when I was a little kid, and I'll sometimes like imagine that, or even physically look at the picture, and like talk to that version of myself, or like write her a little letter, or just lay down and like wrap my arms around myself and just imagine like giving that part of me as a child like a big hug. Just being able to connect with that part of you in a really loving way and provide that part of you with what it's looking for, right? I mean, maybe that part of you just needs to be really whimsical and like go skip down your driveway, or like wear some like fun, wild outfits to work or something. Like, I just feel like there's this part of you that is waiting to like blossom and open. I keep seeing like, almost like a Jack in the Box, where this part of you was being like stuffed into the box, right? And then it's like, you know, this what's it called? The handle is cranking sort of with this energy, this like increasing tension sort of building up, and then pop. But that when it pops, it's that release, it's a relief, and it feels magnificent. It feels wonderful that this free spirit inside of you that's been sort of stuffed down or repressed can blossom, right? Can grow, can expand, has room to like take a deep breath for once, right? It kind of feels like letting your hair down, and just releasing some self-control and inhibitions, just around that bottled up energy. I love that. I hope I found the right words to describe that, because that's a really awesome energy. I like the Jack in the Box analogy. That super resonates. Wow. Okay. So this is like this deep childhood wound, right? Around that sort of having your creativity and your wonderful, whimsical little self like sort of suppressed, right, to fit into this mold. Once you go in there and find that part of you and sort of set that part of you free, through healing, through recognition, through just telling that part of you, like, come on out, I'm ready for you, right? I can even see like, gosh, I don't know. I was talking about putting on like wild clothes, right? Like maybe put like barrettes in your hair if you're like a woman, wear like a dress that you would have enjoyed as a little kid, or get some art supplies and like do finger painting or something, you know, like I feel like there's just a creative, a wonderful creative kind of out of the box part of you that really just wants to come out. But anyways, once that part comes out, I feel like not only will it resolve this draining, squabbling energy, but it's the thing that brings this joy, this movement, this passion. It's like a freedom, it's a fresh air, all of that back into your romantic relationship. And I feel like saying passion again because that's like a huge piece here. Like, I really feel like the energy of whoever this is, this Queen of Pentacles represents, right? For me, that's you, my viewer. Again, whether you're male or female, it's irrelevant. It's just the gender on the card. But the passion that's able to come in here because you're not like being drained anymore by this sort of harassing energy. You're able to go into whatever this childhood wound is and find peace there, right? To really love yourself there. And I feel like I had talked about a similar energy in my last reading where you kind of create this beautiful, like it's like a beautiful void, right? A beautiful container as you're releasing this wound from the past. And I feel like that movement of the Eight of Wands and the King of Wands is the universe bringing in that passion, bringing in that forward movement, bringing in that joy, right? That manifestation. And it just gets kind of sucked in there, almost like a vacuum, right? That the universe can just rush in and fill that void space with like all of this good energy. That's really cool. I like that. That's a really cool energy. Alrighty, God, do you have any other advice for the folks in this collective? That was like a lot of advice already. Okay, so we have got Strength and the Seven of Wands. Both of those feel like they are about boundaries to me. So the Strength card is all about sort of, I always talk about this. It's like the card of the maiden and the lion, right? So she is taming the lion, which is any ego thoughts, any toxic thoughts and behaviors, right? Any place where maybe she would be prone to like being angry or snapping at someone or whatever. It's like any of those sort of impulses within us that are out of alignment with peace and out of alignment with love. It's really being able to go into those places and set boundaries there and sort of be bigger than them, right? Like you're the one in the driver's seat, not ego, not anger, not frustration, not exhaustion, right? It's you, and you're aligning with peace. And that peace is sort of the dominant, the most powerful vibration. The peace, this Strength card was so much more powerful than this sort of squabbling energy. So this would be like a parent who's able to totally zen out even with their kids fighting around them, right? And able to be calm in the midst of that chaos to be able to kind of handle the situation from a calm way. But the Seven of Wands feels like that too to me. It's, I'm just drawn to these wands. These wands are turned on this guy, and instead of those wands making him disoriented or upset, he just has this pretty peaceful and determined look on his face. And I just heard it, like, I feel like he would be like, not today, Satan. Like that's the vibe from him, is that he's putting out his wand and he's like, you're not going to do this to me, right? It really feels like that firm energy of setting boundaries against like that squabbling. That's really powerful. The Nine of Swords and the Lovers. That feels to me like if you're in this collective, like you have been worrying about how this is impacting your relationship. The Nine of Swords is the energy of someone who's kind of kept up all night by their thoughts, by their worries. I mean, in this card, it's like this person is even dramatically kind of draped over the couch or the bed or whatever that is, right? But I feel like this Lover's card is just reinforcing that message. It's also reminding me of what I was just saying about the Strength card and that vibe of peace. that peace is going to be the most powerful, the highest vibration. And I feel like love also vibrates at that level, right? Because peace and love are, I don't know, they're like equivalent vibrations, right? So you being able to heal into that energy of peace, you being able to heal into that energy of love, it's so magnetic. It's so magnetic. So I feel like if you have been worrying about how this energy has been impacting your relationship, I really feel like the most productive use of your time and energy is to heal whatever this childhood situation is, this place where you were wounded in your heart as a kid. And I feel like I was saying, it sort of makes this void kind of clearing out that old trauma, that old upset, and then the universe gets to fill that void with the passion and the love and the joy and the happy surprises and the relationship, right? I mean, I'm really drawn to the fact that, first of all, this angel is here. I don't always pay attention to that, but I feel like it's the divine basically saying, like, you're protected and I'm here to help you. I feel like especially because whatever this is happened to you as a kid, you were innocent, right? You were little, you didn't know, you were just learning the world. And I feel like you have almost like extra guidance or protection around healing this issue because of that. But I'm super drawn to these two. They look like they're moving towards each other, don't they? Kind of clasping their hands. They look like they're about to kiss, but that energy of the lovers coming back together, literally physically with that passion, right? Of the King of Wands, like physically, emotionally, spiritually, like moving once again towards each other. So if you've been in a period where you have felt more separate or kind of more alone or even like unwanted, unavailable, you're just so busy kind of trying to deal with your own overwhelm and exhaustion that maybe you haven't been super available to connect with your partner. I feel like that instead of worrying about it, right? Instead of this sort of useless energy drain of the Nine of Swords, really spending that energy figuring out what is the childhood root of whatever is coming up for you. It's cute that that's the Sun card. I'm super drawn to the fact that it's a little kid and that we're talking about like this childhood wounding. So that to me feels like, I was talking about that, how it's like a Jack-in-the-Box energy, right? But it's not like a creepy Jack-in-the-Box. It's like a joyful Jack-in-the-Box. And when you're cranking the thing and it comes to the end of the song, goes pop goes the weasel, and it pops open and it's like confetti comes out and like a unicorn flies out and like a prince and a princess, are like flying off into the sunset together. And like, I don't know, there's like, a treasure trove of gems and gold coins in there. It's like everything, all these wishes come true, these beautiful images that brought you joy from your childhood of kind of what you always thought your happily ever after would look like. It's like they're finally set free in this beautiful, creative, kind of open, whimsical energy where you're kind of willing to just like flow with it and entertain the possibility that like that's for you, right? The wealth is for you. The happily ever after, it's for you. The celebration is for you. The joyful surprises are for you. My spiritual teachers talk about how miracles are meant to be an everyday thing, but we're taught that they're so rare and unusual that we just don't expect them to be every day. But it's possible to heal to the point where that's literally what you experience on a daily basis, is just miracles and miracles. And that's what this energy feels like to me. It's really cool. But yeah, the Sun is that card of victory, success, of freedom. I'm really drawn to the freedom aspect of that. Just the expansiveness. Like this little boy hopped on this horse, right? And all of a sudden his world just expanded so much because now he can walk faster. He's got this cool horse buddy to explore with. Like it just feels really nice. The Five of Swords and the Ace of Cups. I feel like this is a message for you around releasing anywhere that you are self-sabotaging. Let me think of how to say that because I don't want that to come across the wrong way. It does not feel to me like this is something that you are doing intentionally to yourself at all. If you're in this collective, your energy feels, to be frank, your energy feels exhausted to me. I feel like you're just so beat down by this sort of squabbling, draining energy. It's definitely not something that you're doing on purpose to like make harder for yourself. But I do feel that it's kind of like a self-sabotaging or a self-defeating energy, where whatever this pattern is that you sort of learned in childhood around sort of suppressing yourself or your joy, trying to get yourself to fit into like a box or a mold. I don't know how to say, it's almost like a betrayal. It's a betrayal of yourself and like who you really are as a divine being, and all of the quirky, unique, magnificent, like beautiful gifts that you've been given, the role that you're meant to play here on this earth. If you're trying to fit yourself into a mold, say to please your parents or to fit in with your neighbors or like your friendship circle or something like that, or maybe even to fit a mold of who your spouse wants you to be, right? I just really keep coming back to that word betrayal. It's like a betrayal of who you really are. So if that's what resonates for you, like be that, do that, right? But I feel like if you're in this collective, it's not making you happy because it's not genuine to who you really are, right? Like maybe the example that's coming to me is like, maybe this is, for example, stay-at-home mom. I feel like that's an easy example for me to get because that was me at one point. And maybe you love cooking and cleaning the house and taking care of the kids and doing all of the wonderful domestic stuff, but maybe you want to do it with like AC/DC blaring and with like some kooky clothes on, right? Maybe you want to wear like a tutu and like a princess tiara. And I feel like just do that. Like if that's what would bring you joy and make you so happy, like just do that, right? That feels beautiful to me. It feels so beautiful and silly and fun and free, and I feel like it would be really healing for your inner child. And again, like the way that this relates to romance is once you set that part of you free, once you are kind of loving yourself in that place where you were once hurt, you become so magnetic. Like I can't even describe to you the magnetism that I feel with this King of Wands and this Eight of Wands, just wanting to like rush into this joy, this joyful union energy. Feeling that here with the Lovers coming together, and even with the Sun, the expansiveness and the freedom of that. I feel like it's all just the opposite of the Devil card. So whereas before there was this energy of like suppressing and stuffing and sort of containing, I feel like instead it's this, gosh, it's not even like explosive, that feels too violent, but just this grand, expansive energy, and it's fast. I think that's what feels almost explosive about it to me, is that it's fast. This big, fast expansion of that freedom and of that joy and of that creativity. And I just keep coming back to like whimsy. It's such a whimsical energy. I feel like, I don't know, I legit see an image of someone vacuuming the house with like a tiara and a tutu on. Like I feel like that's the vibe of this energy, right? Or like making this formal dinner for the family, but instead of making it formal, they like shape, the mashed potatoes into like a dinosaur shape or something, like, I don't know. There's just something so playful and cute about this energy. It's like someone who's been maybe kind of stuffy or really formal, just finally letting some of that formality go. It's really cool. And it's so magnetic that it is so attractive. You kind of just being like your silly, fun, perfect self. Kind of letting go of that mask of being, quote, perfect, maybe as your spouse would see you as perfect, or your parents would want you to be perfect, or society's idea of how you could be perfect, and instead just being perfectly you, being perfectly who you are, who you were meant to be. It's so ridiculously magnetic and attractive. I can't even put the words to it. It's like this super fast energy of the love and the passion and the freedom and the expansion and the playfulness and the joy and the surprises and the miracles and all of that just coming in so quickly, because you're letting yourself be free. And I feel that with the Ace of Cups, I'm just drawn to how completely overflowing this cup is. And it's almost like someone turned on the faucet of this cup, which in this, it represents love, right? The water. It's like someone turned on the faucet and then left it on for like 10,000 years. And what used to just be a cup is now filled with this lake because someone just let the water flow and flow and flow and flow. I feel that. I feel like this is like lifetimes worth of you kind of having this like suppressed, stuffed in, compacted, controlled feeling, and finally just saying, you know what, screw it. I just am going to be my quirky, awesome, perfect self. And refusing to kind of be stuffed or controlled into that box anymore. I just feel that the Ace of Cups is like just waiting for you, with lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of healing and joy and freedom and just sort of flowing all of this devil energy basically out of your life. That's such a cool energy. So for the romance angels, we have very soon and heart-to-heart conversation. So very soon says, clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now. Yeah, I feel like if you're in this collective, you can very clearly, you can decide with the universe, like, hey, God, I'd like some help, please, around healing this, around identifying what this wound is for me. Although I think if you're in this collective, based on what I've said so far, you will be able to identify it. Like this would be someone who maybe, for example, like your parents made you go to a formal school, right? And you had to wear school uniforms, but you always wanted to wear like Rip Tights and Doc Martens or something, right? Like, and that would be you going out and buying yourself a pair of Rip Tights and Doc Martens and just wearing them around the grocery store, bringing your kids on errands or whatever, I feel like you'll know if you're in this collective, or like maybe, for example, you wanted to be an artist. I feel like art keeps coming up a lot. And maybe your parents were like, no, we're not wasting money on art lessons. You're going to be a lawyer, right? Or you're going to be a business person. And maybe you just go to like the craft store and you buy yourself some stuff and just start painting. I think it will be a place where it seems kind of obvious to you where this repressed or controlled energy is coming from. The next one says heart-to-heart conversations. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. Yeah, I love that. I feel like I was even channeling that energy when I was talking about the blue in these cards as like a throat chakra and communication energy. And also the Eight of Wands specifically often represents like rapid communication, usually incoming communication, but I can also see that as you. And I really feel that vibe with the King of Wands, that he is so magnetized. He is so ready to just leap out of that throne and walk into this Four of Wands energy. I feel like you could say like, hey, honey, I want to have a conversation with you. And he would just leap up and be like ready to do it, to have the conversation, I mean, but maybe also it. That's a cool energy. I feel like for what it's worth, if you're in this collective, it may be beneficial to have that conversation with yourself first, to find this place within you that is crying out to be set free, and have that conversation with that part of yourself, with your inner child, and say like, hey, my inner child, I see you, I hear you. You're important to me, right? It's time to let you come out and play. I want you to be part of my life. And I think once you have healed that and sort of integrated that, whatever conversation you want to have with your partner, I think will flow very easily. It's like a lot of passion and just joy in those cards. It's so beautiful. Wow. I really love this reading. This was completely unexpected. I didn't expect this one at all. It's a good one. Sorry, I'm just distracted because I'm I'm just enjoying this energy. This is such a cool healing. All right. Well, if you are in this collective, I hope that this was helpful. And I hope to be able to read for you guys again soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye.